Hello and welcome to this webinar as part of the Single Sales Principles series of webinars. And in this one, what we're going to cover is the idea of establishing credibility. It's part of the Single Sales Principle program that a number of you will have been on already. But if you haven't, we're going to cover some of the material in a little bit more detail than it actually goes into in the program. And we're going to build further on it as well. So what do we mean by establishing credibility and why is it so important? Well, the first thing to mention is that what we're trying to do as part of the single sales principle and using the single sales principle is change the way that our customers view the relationship that we have with them, away from the bottom end of what we call the relationship pyramid, from this commodity area down at the bottom, through as high as we possibly can up towards boardroom. The reason for that is if we're operating at a commodity level with a customer, there is one thing and one thing only that they're interested in. And that is, what is the price of the thing that we are selling them? Now, there are markets that operate like that. Very, very few operate like that in an absolutely strict sense. But there is a degree to which industries across all sectors are moving in this direction. And I'll give you an example of that. I was talking to a client recently about a relationship issue with their customers. This is in the FMCG sector. And the challenge that they're having is that a lot of buying and selling decisions are made in a sort of blind bidding sense. So suppliers, potential suppliers, will put their price and the spec of their product down on a piece of paper, submit it, and it goes into some black hole somewhere in the potential customers' offices, and then they make a decision. And a lot of those are actually where the specification is determined by the customer. And if that's the case, all you need to do is meet the specification and then have the lowest price. If that's all it is, we're looking at this commodity end of the market. And the problem with that is there's an awful lot more in pretty much every industry that customers need other than the cheapest possible price. Have a think for a minute about this commodity market. There might be some things that you believe that you buy exclusively on price, but I would ask you to challenge yourselves on that. When you're going and filling up with fuel, do you fill up with fuel purely based on price? Even if you say, yes, I do, I always go and fill up based on price. Actually, is that the case all of the time? Or are there other times when something like location convenience would be more important? People have different perceptions about what is a pure commodity product. But I've thought about this a great deal. We've done a lot of work in this area. And there are very, very few products that fall into this commodity category. So we do have this opportunity to be able to move people up the relationship pyramid so that we can get towards, hopefully, the boardroom area where we're actually working very closely in partnership with our customers in a wide range of areas. But as we move up, everything is about a deeper, more meaningful relationship with our customers. And to have any sort of deep and meaningful relationship with anybody, the fundamental thing that you need is trust. And I'm going to come back onto the difference between trust and credibility shortly. So where does established credibility fit? For those of you who have been on the program, I hope you'll remember that it fits as the second part of the decide sales process. That's where we establish credibility. We need to do it early on to effectively gain permission from our customers to be able to talk to them about things that are other than the simple price that we're offering them. So if we need to do that, why? Why is it so important to make sure that our customers have this level of trust in us and that we have this level of credibility with our customers, both in terms of the product and service that we're offering, but also who is doing the offering, us and the organization that we represent? Well, we'll have mentioned on the Single Sales Principle program this book by Cialdini, The Psychology of Persuasion. How do we influence people to do things? And one of the great tools of influence is this concept around authority. Now, authority can be a negative word, which is why I mentioned the word trust earlier. I view that as a more positive version or a positive aspect around authority. Authority is when people believe you because of something. You present yourself with a degree of authority and therefore people will fall in line with what you say. It's the fall in line bit that I'm not that keen on, which is why I prefer this word trust. In a sales environment, we don't actually have authority over the other person. We don't have the ability to be the doctor that we talk about on the Single Sales Principle program who phones up and asks nurses to go and put a prescription, a medication to people, and then they just go and do it regardless of whether it's the right thing to do or not. If you remember the stats on that, 21 out of 22 nurses went and prescribed a dangerous dosage of a product that wasn't allowed to be given, etc., etc. So I like to talk about it in the sense of it being about trust. We have to earn the trust from our customers. We have to give them something that says, it's okay to trust me. And unfortunately, we don't start in a great position in our roles as salespeople. Because as salespeople, we often get labelled with these sort of terms. We're pushy, we're difficult, we're annoying, we harass people, we're sleazy. There's all that sort of historic stuff around the used car salesman type approach that people expect salespeople to be. They expect people to lie about things, or even if they're not going to lie about things, to stretch the truth, to only mention the positive side of things and this sort of stuff. And so we start from a position that is absolutely not ideal. We're starting a very long journey with our customers with our feet hobbled together. And because of that, we've got to make sure that we make a good start to this journey and that we keep going. We keep going until we have got this trust in place. On the Single Sales Principle program, we talk about 3 areas. And I tend to use an acronym, as I do with a lot of these things, to cover the 3 areas that we talk about. And I talk about being able to prove to other people, in a slightly cheesy way, I will admit, that we are ACE. And the reason that we use that is it fits in with the acronym of talking about associations, clients, and ESTs. So I'm going to start this session by talking about these 3 areas, which you will have been through if you've been through the Single Sales Principle, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail about each of them. After that, what I'm going to do is build on it with 3 slightly different approaches, 3 new areas to look at when we're trying to genuinely establish credibility with our customers. But let's start with the original 3. The first one of these is talking about associations and accreditations. What does this mean? Well, what it means is we're actually looking at why on earth customers should believe us and then sourcing some of that trust, sourcing some of that reputation from external bodies. Groups who aren't directly associated with us, that have no skin in the game in terms of saying that we're great, but who we can accredit ourselves by and get endorsed by and those sort of things. So industry bodies, those sort of people. We're talking about a wide range of industry bodies out there. Find the ones in your sector, find the ones in your industry that can effectively put a stamp on what you say and what you do, what you make and what you sell. We do this with the Institute of Sales and Marketing Management. This program, the Single Sales Principle program, is accredited by the ISMM. And there's a reason we say that. Without that sort of credibility behind it, why would you believe that what we're talking about is useful? Well, yes, we tell you it is, but we've got the sales badge as much as anybody else. And if we've got that, then there is always the element of doubt. Well, of course, Simon is going to say, yes, it's a great program and it will deliver results and so on. Is there anybody external who would say that? Well, yes, there is. And one of the external sets of bodies who will do that are bodies that you can be associated with, accredited by, and so on. Loads of these around, a few examples here, a few examples on the next slide as well. They cover pretty much every industry sector. Go out and find the ones relevant to you, and more importantly, the ones that are relevant to your customers as well, because those are the ones that will make the difference in terms of establishing some of this level of credibility and trust that your customers need to have in you in order to be able to believe what you're going to say to them later in the sales process. So, TripAdvisor. 100 best companies to work for, ISO qualifications, all of those sort of things are fantastic examples of people externally saying that the product or service that you offer is great. I'm a big fan of TripAdvisor. I use it an awful lot because I travel an awful lot to places I've never been before. And if somebody is genuinely recommended by TripAdvisor, it doesn't mean it's going to be wonderful. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect in my experience. But what it does mean is I have a certain level of reassurance, and in the absence of anything else, it will give that that supplier a bit of an edge over other people. That's what we're looking for in associations and accreditations, things that will give us an edge over our competition. That will enable us to build a degree of credibility that others may not be able to achieve. The next element of the ACE process is to look at clients, and you will see pictures like this on websites and literature, and we're as guilty of this as anybody else. We should be, because we should walk the talk. We put out lists on our website of clients that we've worked with. Hopefully you guys do as well. But when you're having conversations with customers, find ways of dropping these in. You need to be careful in terms of confidentiality and competitive issues and all of these sort of things. But if you are pitching for some new business and you've worked with a similar customer in a similar industry with similar issues and you've been able to resolve those things, then being able to talk about the clients that you have worked with coherently and in a way that brings it to life, that will help reassure people that actually you're okay to work with, you're going to be good. It's a bit like getting references for when you're employing somebody for a job. I love this cartoon. Your mum likes you. Well, that's all we need. It needs to be more than just one customer or a really small organisation or something like that that we use with clients. We need to have good quality references. But think about it in that way. Who of your current customer base would genuinely give you a positive reference? And make sure you mention those, because that will help just reassure people that you're worth dealing with. The final one of the area that we've covered already in the Single Sales Principle program is ESTs, a wonderful made-up word that isn't a word at all, but what it is a really important bit that you can stick at the end of a word. Some words have it already, and that's great. We are the biggest, we're the largest, we're the strongest, we're the fittest, and so on. That's great. We can also use it with words that don't really have it at the end and couldn't really have it at the end, but give the sense that there is something that is unique to us, that makes us stand out from the competition. We are the mostest, we are the environmentalistest, and those sort of things. Think of the words that you could stick est on the end that make you stand out versus others. It's your USP. Now, we're going to come on to the personal area in a minute. You personally will have some of these S's as well. But at this stage, we're thinking about it from an organisational point of view. This chart looks at the fastest ISPs from 2015 in London. But it's an example of actually Virgin Media have been highlighted back in 2015 that they were the fastest broadband provider in London, the fastest. Now, that is an appealing concept. Why would you want to go with somebody who was slower than the fastest? So find out what these ests are for you. Another example of this, car buyers. Are we actually the most reliable car? That sort of thing. The most efficient boiler, the most efficientest boiler in place. The most powerful est handheld vacuum cleaner, rechargeable vacuum cleaner, and so on. This sort of stuff is used an awful lot. But we need to make sure that we use it consciously and comfortably, and that we're able to go to our customers and say, we are the something est in the market. And if we have a few of those that we can use, so much the better, because what we can then do is pick the right ones at the right time to drop into conversation with our customers. So those three, associations, clients, and ests, are the ones that you will have covered on the Single Sales Principle course. That's a little bit of a refresher for you. Make sure that your ests and your associations and so on are meaningful, though. A couple of warnings on this. One is, if you are Michelin, great. It's fantastic to say that you are the #1 supplier of tyres. But however, if you're looking at Lego, they are actually the #1 manufacturer of tyres. I never knew this. It's less relevant if you're selling Lego to say that you're the biggest supplier of tyres in the market. If you're Michelin, it's probably rather more relevant for you. The other thing to be very careful of are examples like this. This is a rather dangerous one, and it's where people are using ests, but they're not telling the truth. This is a report from the Advertising Standards Authority about an organisation called Potto Hall Limited, which has since dissolved. There are 5 examples here from an advertising campaign they ran of things that they said they were est at, the longest established, and so on. Now, there is a challenge with this because they were lying effectively, or certainly unable to prove that these things were true. And when the ASA ruled on the advert after a complaint had been made, they were told that all of these had to be removed from their advertising campaigns. If we are talking about establishing credibility as a mechanism for delivering trust with our customers, we can't be in a position where we're saying things that are provably incorrect, or certainly not provably true. We need to make sure that we have a robust system in place to make sure that we're telling the truth to our customers, we can prove that we're telling the truth to our customers, so that we can build trust on a solid foundation. Now, the next 3 that I'm going to take you through are builds on the associations, clients, and ests area. And the 3 I'm going to talk about here, another acronym, because as I confessed, I love these things. This is the P approach: personal, education, and awards. So I'm going to take you through how we approach each of these three areas of establishing credibility as well. It may sound like a lot that we've actually got 6 different ways of doing it. To be honest, there are probably more than 6 out there. The real thing, though, is to pick the right ones at the right time with the right customer to talk about. So the more tools you've got in your toolkit to be able to take out and use with customers at appropriate times, the better, which is why we're going through an additional 3 here. So first off, the personal one. What is the personal one all about? Well, it is about you. This isn't, contrary to one of the great myths of selling, for those of you who have read the Single Sales Principle book, this is not just about people buy from people who they like. Although there is an element of truth in that. Not that they like them, but they are like them. And people who approach things in a similar style and so on, that is really helpful. But there's more to it than that. There's more to this personal area. What we need to do is think about what your USP is. People are getting into a relationship with you when they're deciding to buy with you. They're going to undertake the actual transaction with you and with your organization, people in your organization. What are the personal qualities of those individuals that will really, really help drive a successful and trusting relationship with your customers? That's what we need to think about here. And it's a bit of a challenge. Blowing your own trumpet is something that a lot of people, me included, are not particularly comfortable with. But we need to find a way of talking about the level of experience that we've got, talking about the qualifications that we've got, talking about the work that we've done, what our approach is, what our philosophy is, in a way that is meaningful for the customer, but also allows us to get across that, do you know what? Me personally, I am somebody who is worth spending time in, worth building a relationship with, worth putting trust in. So the personal aspect must never, ever be forgotten. And the reality about blowing your own trumpet is it's very rare for anybody else to go and blow it for you. So go, make sure it makes a nice noise when you blow it, but don't be afraid of actually going out there and blowing your own trumpet. The E stands for expert. Expert and education is really, really important. We need to educate our customers. This is not education in terms of your personal level of education. That kind of might come into more of the personal qualities if it is relevant. But what this is about using your ability to be able to educate your customers to enhance the authority that you have with them and to enhance the trust that you build. So have a think about this. Using it is a bit dangerous because there is always the element, if you are overconfident in expressing your capabilities and your knowledge about a sector, that other people can feel uncomfortable. There is nothing worse than somebody smugly going on about their level of expertise and knowledge and do you know this and do you know that? Because a lot of people will actually feel potentially rather silly and insecure and unnerved by somebody dominating them with a vast amount of information. But actually, if it's done in a sensitive way, and we're actually offering free information, free education to our customers about the various areas that are important to them, then we're going to build our authority, our trust, our credibility with the customers, because we're giving something away while showing our level of knowledge. One of the bits that is absolutely so solid, so profound about people not liking salespeople for, it is lack of product knowledge. 82% of people on a one-poll survey that we commissioned said that they want product knowledge from their suppliers. Now, if that's the case, effectively what we're doing when we're going into a store, when we're going into a B2B sell, is we are having the opportunity to educate our customers. And if we've got great product knowledge when we go in there, it's fantastic. But what is terrible is if our customers are either knowing a little bit more than us or are asking us questions that we genuinely should know the answer to and don't, and we either just repeatedly say, oh, I don't know, I'll come back to you, oh, I don't know, I'll come back to you. Or worse than that, we actually tell them something that is provably untrue later, I refer you back to the ASA example earlier on, then we're going to undermine our credibility really, really quickly. So there are 4 areas that I want to mention in terms of how do we get across this idea of product knowledge, or more broad than that, our expertise in order to be able to educate our customers well. Well, the first one of these is obviously the product. We need to know the ins and outs of the product and service that we offer. And there are lots of industries where that is quite hard, where you've got a range of products and services, where they are perhaps technically quite complex and so on. I've been out on sales calls with people with brochures of 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 different products that a customer could buy for a particular need, and actually we've got to guide our customers through it. So we need to have really, really great knowledge about our products, our services, and what each of them delivers, what the different nuances are. Think about this. Next time you go into a store and buying something like a computer or a phone or a printer or those sort of technical areas, go and ask the person, what is the difference between this product, this product, this product, and this product? And understand how you feel if they can't give you a coherent answer to those. Do you trust them? Do they have credibility with you? My guess would be the answer will be a firm no. So that's the first area, really focusing on understanding your products. Do your homework, do your research around those. The next is to understand your business. People aren't just buying a product in most cases and taking it away and never dealing with that business again. They'll be looking at customer service, they'll be looking at financing and invoicing and those sort of areas. And contact hopefully going on a long period of time. What other services and offers can you produce for them? So you need to understand the broad nature of your organisation well. It's not that you have to be expert in every single one of those, but you have to be able to find a way of educating your customers about your business and what your business can do for them, and sound coherent and credible about those as well. Even wider than that is looking at the industry as a whole. The third one is saying we need to understand the industry that we operate in, the sector that we operate in. What are the dynamics? What are the changes that are happening? What was happening 10 years ago that is different to today, and what do we think might be happening in a year or 2 or 5 or 10 years' time? We need to be experts in this industry, because in a lot of cases, we are only a small part of our buyer's business. And if we can't offer that degree of expertise to them, where else are they going to get it from? It's not too bad if they're not getting it from anywhere, but there is a real danger they're going to get it from other people. We want to be first in line to offer that degree of expertise to people in order to be able to establish our credibility. The fourth, the final, but possibly the most important one, because it kind of encompasses the whole thing, is we need to become experts on our customers. And we do have the ability to educate our customers about themselves, about their industry, about their sector, about their competitors and so on. Because if we are operating in a particular niche, we may still know more about their competitors in that particular niche than they do. So in order to be able to educate our customers, to offer that as part of our credibility building exercise, we need to understand them really well as well. It takes a great deal of effort to go and do that, but well worth it. The final one is awards, and I'm going to build on this because it's pretty simple, but I'm going to use a particular example of it. Awards are fantastic things. You say, I have won this, we have won this, our organisation, our product, our service has won this particular award. And you'll see that with the TripAdvisor stuff I showed you earlier and so on. This is an example from a client of ours, TimeZ or TES, as they are now known, and they offer these schools awards. Now, is that credible for the school? Absolutely it is, because they're the biggest, the most dominant organisation in their sector, TES are. But look at what they do to establish their credibility in the advert when you see it on a bigger scale. They look at what other organisations like the AQA are actually supporting what they're saying about schools. So within the awards, they've got accreditations and associations in there as well. They've actually got the word association built in there, associated with one education. So all of these things can wrap up really nicely, and you can communicate an awful lot about your particular credibility in a relatively short and simple way, but you need to be able to practice that to do it. So let me finish off by saying credibility is critical. We are in this position as salespeople that says, do you know what, why should I believe you? And by establishing credibility through building authority and the positive aspect of authority of trust, we can start to build a much better relationship with our customers that can start to move us away from the commodity area at the bottom of the pyramid up towards the boardroom as far as we can possibly get and have much more profound conversations with our customers. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, please do get in touch with us if you want more information about this area or any of the other areas that are covered as part of the single sales principle, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.